We've got about 200 here today. We've got probably more than 100 in the crowd and at least another 100 in the stream. So it's great to be here for all of us. My name is Mike Hamill. I'm a Rotarian, and I was very much involved in the helping put the trail together. But the guy who really got things underway with the City of Chilliwack is the Manager of Parks and Recreation, Dave Snyder. So please give Dave a big hand. So what are we here for today? We're here to celebrate the opening of the Peach Creek Trail, part of the overall Chilliwack trail system, the trail system that you as citizens paid for, along with help from the City of Chilliwack and, of course, the Rotary Club in Chilliwack. So it's been, one thing I'd like to say and I'd like to emphasize is the wonderful relationship that the Rotary Club of Chilliwack has had with the City of Chilliwack. We've been involved with this project, the Rotary Trail and the subsequent Peach Creek Trail, for a number of years, and the cooperation has just been wonderful. It's been a great pleasure to be involved. So, now what am I on to here? I'm going to, at this point, I'm going to introduce Dave. So Dave Snyder, would you please say a few words?
See that? This is the problem, right? I was looking for somebody to MC with that would be shorter, but we want to take a few minutes and just acknowledge some of the special guests we have with us here today. We have Mayor Gates, Her Worship. There you are. There you are. And I was scanning for counselors, and I'm still scanning for counselors. We have some senior staff here as well. We have Chris Crossman, our general manager with the city. And we have Gord Peterson, our director of Parks, Rec and Culture, here as well. And then in among everybody, interspersed, there's some city staff. Wave your hands. There's some, and some of them are not waving their hands. That tells you how quickly they obey me. I'll pass back to Mike for some of the Rotary connections.
Okay, I'd like to introduce our Rotary president, Dennis Rook. Dennis is right over here. And there's a fellow who's not here, but he's familiar to many of you. His name is Bob Moore. Bob is a former base commander of the city of Chilliwack. The reason I mention his name is because this wouldn't have happened, at least at this time, without Bob Moore. I was out for a walk one day and happened to bump into Bob, and I was involved with the trail, of course, and I wanted to loop the trail right away, but it wasn't going to happen right away because for practical purposes it costs a lot of money to do that. So Bob suggested that there's this trail in really rough condition, and it's called the Peach Creek Trail, and maybe we could do something with it, and that was 2 years ago. So that kind of launched it. So a big thank you to Bob, and I wish he could have been here so that we could applaud him, but let's do it without him. I'd also like to welcome the Chilliwack River, I'll get it, if you can say it, Chilliwack Better River Cleanup Committee. Is there anyone here from the committee? I think everyone is aware of what a wonderful job that they do this trail and with the Better River in general. So it's a pleasure to have them represented here also. I'd also like to, have you seen a lot of kindergarten kids running around here behind me? They're from Watson Elementary School class. And I'd like to acknowledge teacher Leslie Ann Thornton. Is Leslie here? Right there. And I'll explain why in a minute. Leslie is filling in for Pam Duvel, and Pam is right here. And Pam was, we didn't just do this trail. In other words, it didn't just drop in our lap. Let's go put some dirt down and put some gravel on it. Of course, we had the wonderful planning of the city, but we also had input from the schools, and Pam was instrumental in helping us with that. So thank you very much. Now, let's turn things back over to Dave.
So when it comes to acknowledging people, it's a very perilous thing, you can imagine, trying to find all the people to acknowledge. And what I'd like to do is, rather than trying to name individual names, I'd love to ask you, just kind of in categories, about your involvement in the trail, both this trail and the main Rotary trail as well. So if you go back far enough to have been involved in the inception of the Rotary Trail and the vision and the creation of that original Rotary Trail, can you raise your hand? Anyone? That's excellent. Way to go. And if you're involved in a Rotary committee or a community committee that was involved in trail development and the development of this area, can you raise your hand? There's more still. That's great. And anyone that's involved in funding this sort of stuff or been involved in the creation of some of these sites, and in particular city staff involved in the approvals oriented with this, can you raise your hand? Anyone? There's more still. That's great. And finally, the people that really did the actual work, anybody involved in the hands-on, whether that's river cleanups, trail cleanups, or anybody involved in volunteering on the Rotary Trail or this trail in terms of cleaning up or putting up signs or developing things. Can you raise your hand? That's great. Some great volunteers there. So we just want to make sure that we recognize not only this partnership being one between a Rotary Club and a city itself, but it takes a lot of hands to make this stuff happen, and we want to acknowledge your volunteer activities over the years.
Thanks, Dave. Now, I asked for a little bit of history about the trail, and I'm not going to go on and bore everybody. I've just picked out a few highlights about how the Rotary Trail came to fruition and how this trail came to fruition. So I made a few notes. I'll just read them to you briefly here. The trail concept was envisioned about 30 years ago by Rotary and the City of Chilliwack. The initial plan was to construct the trail away from the river along the river dike. Instead, the committee opted for the present riverbank. So this trail, that trail over there, was really going to go along the dike, and we think that decision was a good one. And that was 30 years ago. In 1995, plans were formulated to extend the trail under the railway bridge and beyond. I think everybody knows where that is if they've walked the Rotary Trail. There was a great deal of discussion in public forum to accommodate cyclists, fishers, and equestrian activity, as well as pedestrians on the trail. Each of those individuals wanted a little bit of exclusivity, but ultimately it was decided that the trail would be for all another good decision to make it all inclusive. In 2012, the Rotary Club of Chilliwack and the City of Chilliwack, under the direction of Parks and Recreation Manager Dave Snyder, who we all know, and Senior Technician Jim Vickerson. And Jim should be acknowledged. There's Jim over there. Jim this guy he's very keen, and he's done a wonderful job of actually laying the trail out, of doing the logistic works, and he's the kind of guy, he's sort of a right-brainer that figures stuff out and makes everything work. In other words, you wouldn't want to give that to me. Great job, and thank you. Currently, the main Rotary Trail sees up to 8,000 users on a busy week. A lot of people. The numbers on the Peach Creek Trail are shaping up exceptionally well. We don't have a firm count on it, but anybody who has walked this trail realizes there's a lot of people on this trail, particularly on a nice day. And to wrap up, in the last 2 years, Rotary has contributed, it should be the last 4 years, Rotary's contributed about $80,000 to the trail system. During the history of the overall trail system, we've reached into the hundreds of thousands of dollars. However, the City of Chilliwack maintains the trail, and quite frankly, our contribution pales in what the city puts into it. They literally put millions of dollars into the overall park system. So that's taxpayers' money well put to work. So that's a bit of the history of the trail, and I'm going to turn it back over to Dave.
We've been asked to just give a brief history of some of the other community partnerships that we've done. Again, we're here to celebrate the partnership between the City of Chilliwack and the Rotary Club, and we've enjoyed this partnership on both sides. And some of that legacy extends into places like the Great Blue Heron Nature Reserve with the creation of the Interpretive Center there. That is a phenomenal facility that few nature reserves ever see something like that. And it hosts about 20,000 visitors a year, and about 2,000 school children per year go through that site learning about environmental education. That's invaluable, and we really appreciate that. This club as well was involved in the creation of Central Park, which again is a jewel in the downtown. The Hope River Trail is another Rotary project that has been very successful over the years. Other Rotary clubs involved in Watson Glen Park and the creation of some special features there, as well as Gwyn Vaughan Park. And so all of these Rotary connections are really tight, and the connection between the city and the Rotary has really yielded some great outcomes over the years. Just in terms of this trail, what the Rotary Club did in terms of our interaction was helped us to raise the bar. We would quite often build a trail, and it's a trail for a pleasant passage from one place to another. But what the Rotary Club encouraged us to do through this partnership was to involve the educators in the process, to learn about how the trail can be used from an educational perspective, also to create these interpretive panels and to really look beyond just a trail, but into a great place. And so that's what's really helped here. In terms of some future connections between the Rotary Trails Committee and the City of Chilliwack, we're working on some possibilities of south side trails on the south side of the river. We have about 75% of that built at this point, and we need some final connections. And so we're excited about some of the future in these connections as well.
So at this point, I'd like to invite Dennis Rook, our Rotary President, to present a check to the Mayor on behalf of our Rotary Club. Dennis?
Sharon, it's my pleasure on behalf of the Rotary Club of Chilliwack to present you with a check to the city in the amount of $21,000 as our final installment for the Peach Creek Trail.
Don't we like holding hands? Thank you very much.
I'll give you the real one later.
Thank you very much. That's great. So a huge thank you to Rotary for this $21,000. I thought it said underneath here, Mama needs new shoes, but apparently it's for a trail. So I really do want to say a huge thank you to Rotary Club for what we're seeing here today. Wasn't it fun watching people go flying by on their bikes? Like, who does that in the middle of the afternoon? Don't you want to quit your jobs? It's going to be awesome. On a day, some of you will know that in my past life I used to be a minister, and on the nights before weddings I would lay awake at night thinking, oh, I hope it's going to be a beautiful day for the bride and groom, especially if there was an event outside. And when you woke up in the morning after a big rain and the sun was shining, you just knew something special was going to happen here. And that's how I felt this morning when I woke up and saw the sun shining and just knew that something special was going to happen here today. For those of you who have had the opportunity to go down this trail, it is so fabulous. My husband and I take our bikes out to the Great Blue Heron Nature Reserve. Thanks again, Rotary Club. Go down the trail, loop back this way. It is fabulous. What I've seen too is people sitting on those little benches along the side and just reading books and having quiet, passive time on the trail. That's a wonderful thing. It's a community thing, and I'm just so proud that Rotary cares for our community in this way and that the City of Chilliwack is able to work together in this partnership with you. So there are a few people that really do need to be thanked, and the two Mikes for sure. Mike Mackestalker, Mike Hamill, yeah, you can clap for them too again. Jonathan Milne is here, and he's responsible. Jonathan, where are you? Yeah, there he is. You can clap for him too. Jonathan is one of those artistic people, and all of those badges that you're wearing right now, and all of the kind of signage that you see behind you, that's compliments of Jonathan Millman, his great talent and his skill. So thank you very much for making everything look so good. And of course, there's all kinds of committees that are going to be acknowledged later, but thank you to each and every one of you. I know some of you are in the concept, some of you actually were clearing things out and building the trail. Thanks to you for doing that. And I do want to say, acknowledge the kids who are behind me here. You know, this is just so sweet. I remember when I was on the school board years ago working with Earl Davies when they had the salmonid program, and they would come down, they would grow their little salmonids, and then they'd come down and release them into the creek. And you know, the way that kids had to release them into the creek, you had to grab them by their shirt, plant your feet, and then they'd lean in, right? And you had to make sure both of you didn't end up in the creek, because it can happen really easily. Not that it mattered to the kids at all, but it did matter to everybody else. But today there are wonderful access points, and I think it's particularly poignant today that you see some of these fish have come back today to the place where they were released. It's really sweet to see. So a huge thank you to all of you once again. Love, love, love working with Rotary, and thank you. When people talk about their favorite places in Chilliwack, I hear over and over again the Veta River Trail, and I know that the Peach Creek Trail will now be added into that inventory of special places for people in our community. Thank you all so much, and thank you to the organizers of this wonderful event.
Now it's time for the special moment, the ribbon cutting, and I think what is called a photo opportunity. And now the ribbon cutting is going to be over here. Is that correct? Over there. Yep. Thank you, Mike. So if you head over to
Right over here. Come on in, guys. Yeah, if you want to stand all in behind here with us, and there's one of those big stones you're talking to put in.
Come on the way, Jenna.
And you can line up right along here, right in front of us. How about that? Everybody in front of us. There we go. Okay, up. Come on up. Come on up. Perfect. Good. We want to see all your cheery. Oh, this is so exciting. Come on, Dennis. Come on. Some of you can curl around the pole. So then we can see them. Not as tall.
We got 30 seconds on the tape.
Okay, so we're going to need you guys just to move a little that way. Is that okay? Because two big people have to get in here. I don't think you can see from there. So again, just before we cut the ribbon too, it's really the city's pleasure to be part of this. Dave, thank you. Thank you for all your work. Board, thank you for all your work here and pushing this forward to the front of the city's priorities. You guys are brilliant men, and you really roll up your sleeves to make it happen. So thank you very much. And to my council, I just want to thank them too for supporting this. And so Dennis and I are going to cut this, but you kids, I want you to remember today, and I think we can get them all little pieces of the ribbon, right? Because this trail is really for you, and when you get old like me, you'll bring your kids down here. It's going to be cool, and you're going to say, I remember when I was there when that trail opened. Cool, eh? All right. So I need the kids to count to 3, and then Mr. Rook and I are going to cut together. Ready? We're going to cut together. So we need you to say 1,